factor that compelled us to go for reforms, right? So all those global political environment and internal factors which were, like we had a very high inflation, foreign exchange reserve was depleting. ये सारी चीजें हो रही थी. तो in the end, in 1991, the Rao Manmohan, मैंने आपको suggest भी किया, उसको आप लोग download करके पढ़ लीजिएगा. And that article by Dr. Jagdish Bhagwati on Rao Manmohan reforms. I think it was 93 he wrote or 92 he wrote that article. Okay. Now we all know that the reforms are basically in the area of various things related to our overall economic policies, right? जो कल हम लोग LPG कहते हैं या common parlance में liberalization, privatization, globalization कहते हैं. So that we all know. What we'll do is we'll start with globalization, क्योंकि liberalization or privatization mostly we deal with some policies, some data, etc. Globalization is something that is more deep for us to understand. When we talk about globalization, I read somewhere long time back, somebody said that globalization is a state of mind. Right? It doesn't matter कि आपने पूरा world travel किया, unless your mindset is global, you're not global. Traveling may help you in globalization of your thought process, but you will be global only when you internalize it. Right? So globalization is a state of mind. We can be very narrow-minded even if you have traveled 100 countries. There is a saying that reading cures bigotry, right? And traveling cures racism. This is a very popular quote. Reading cures bigotry and traveling cures racism. Ideally it should, but for many people it doesn't. So globalization takes place at least 3 levels simultaneously: cultural, political and economic. Now we cannot separate economic from political or cultural. Not possible, because all these things are interconnected, right? Let us look at political integration, political globalization. So we talk about political integration, means different countries coming together, forming alliances, helping each other politically. One of the biggest example of this is the European Union that we all know, where, for example, they did lots of things. They had a common currency, euro now. Plus, internally they don't need visas to travel anywhere. Any member of any European country can travel anywhere, barring 4 or 5 countries which are not part of it. I think UK, Luxembourg and 2-3 more countries. You can travel anywhere, right? If you have a European passport of any country, you can travel anywhere without any restrictions. Then again, one can start business anywhere, one can work anywhere. So in a complete sense, it's a political integration. But what happened when UK exited from it, that we know about Brexit? Brexit तो हम सभी ने सुना हुआ है. 2016 में they did it. They actually held a referendum. You must have read about it, no? Referendum एक हुआ था जिसमें कि the difference was very minor. I think it was 51 and 49%. In fact, less than that. So the difference between people accepting Brexit and people against it was approximately 1%. So the country was divided into two. So what made so many people support the idea of quitting this union? That's something very serious to know. What is happening in I mean, we are talking about globalization at the same time we are moving a step back. What happened during the Donald Trump administration in US? Even how he got elected, how he got elected. And then his policies related to immigration, policies related to, for example, building a wall, the famous Mexico wall. So he was hell-bent on building wall throughout the long border. I think it's 800 kilometers or even longer. इतनी लंबी वो दीवार बनाने जा रहे थे कि मेक्सिको से लोग आ जाते हैं, इन्फिल्ट्रेशन कर देते हैं, and also from other countries in South America. And it has been happening everywhere in the world. So there are forces pro-globalization. At the same time, there are a lot of people who are anti-globalization in a way, like ये Brexit का example America, yeah. Even in other cases, for example, we have our own political alliance in South Asia, SAARC, right? So there were initially 7 countries, and later on we added Afghanistan and Myanmar, I think. 2 more countries were added. But what is happening with SAARC now? For the past many years, nothing is happening. Not even a meet is there. Right? The idea was, for example, there is a SAARC university. Do you know about it? There is a SAARC university which has an India campus in Delhi, and they do only PG and research level courses there. In fact, they have a very rich library. It's a very nice place. So all these great ideas fell down. Even we talked about NATO and all these. These are basically political and military alliances. Right? So these things have been happening. So let us look at. So politically, it's an ideal thing that there is no visa-free world. Anybody can travel anywhere. We can form a world government where there is one supreme leader in the world, and these are all ideals, but actually we know that it's not happening. So let us look at the cultural aspect. Cultural integration. We'll talk about 2 things. First is the point of view of a professor of culture and anthropology. There is this professor, he's from Indian origin. Currently he's a professor at New York University. His name is Professor Appadurai. Arjun Appadurai. I try to write in bigger letters. Arjun Appadurai, he wrote an article way back in 90s, I think 95 or 96. And the article was called Modernity at Large. You should search for this article. The article was called Modernity at Large. It had a long name, but it started with Modernity at Large, and Modernity at Large, Cultural Dimensions of Globalization. That's what he talked about. Modernity at Large, Cultural Dimensions of Globalization. So he's basically a professor of anthropology and cultural studies, but he discussed globalization from the terms of culture. He gave a very interesting idea of what he calls scapes. So the 5 escapes he talks about, we'll discuss these. Ethnoscapes, financescapes, technoscapes. There are two more. Ideoscapes. And mediascapes. My handwriting is not all that good. I hope you are able to read it. I'll read it again. Ethnoscapes, financescapes, technoscapes, ideoscapes, and mediascapes. So this is this framework of looking at globalization at the level of culture. Although when he talks about financescapes or technoscapes, somehow even economic thing are there. But he is basically talking about. So ethnoscapes, as the name suggests, it's about flow of people. So it is about flow of people across boundaries, across the world, where people are free to. So this is one of the impacts of globalization, that people will be freely moving across the world. So that is the idea of what he calls ethnoscapes. It can be seen at two levels. One is people migrating, immigration thing. You know, people going to settle in another country, start living there, working there, and it happens at different levels. For example, when Indians are going abroad to work and settle, some foreigners are also coming to India and start working and settle. So once again, you can see, for example, Tata Motors had a CEO which was, I think, a German national. So many of the companies are getting international employees to India. Similarly, Indians are working abroad and settling and living there. So at the level of migration, it is there. So that is one thing, flow of people. Secondly, it is flow of people as tourists. And that's a very important aspect here. Because when a tourist visits a place, a country, a new country, the tourists are affected by the local culture, as well as they also affect the local culture. So they are affected as well as they affect, both ways. How is it possible that they can affect a local culture? Tourists. How can tourists affect a local culture?
Bringing their own mind, bringing their own ideologies and culture with them, and also providing.
You see, Indian tourists are very notorious, right? So whenever you talk to a travel agent, if you're traveling to, let's say, a country like Singapore, so your travel agent will warn you. You have to be very careful. Don't spit here and there, and खा के कोई चीज फेंक मत दीजिएगा. It's called a fine city. Fine not in the sense of good, but fine that you have to pay fine, right? So Singapore is a fine city. So the travel agent knows that Indians are notorious. Couple of years you may have seen a video from a resort in Bali.
Yes, sir. Yes.
काफी पॉपुलर था, जहाँ पे कि एक फैमिली वाले वो रिजॉर्ट से चीजें अपने बैग में भर के ले जा रहे थे. They were caught and surprisingly they were blaming their kids कि बच्चों ने रख दिया. That's shameful. So the thing is, if they allow one group of tourists, or if they just don't pay attention to what they are doing, it might affect lots of things, right? But that is just a trivial example. Even deeply, you know, a lot of foreigners visit India and stay here for a very long time. They get long-term tourist visas, and for example, if you go to Goa, so there is a Russian enclave. If you have been there, you know there are certain places which are, I'm forgetting that name of that beach, where it's dominated by Russians, right? Any outsider is not welcome there, even if it is your country, but they feel that it is their domain and you're not welcome there. Similarly, Nigerians are there. Again, all those stories of drugs and all these things are there. But locals are very agitated against it. They say that, you know, they are influencing local culture, and this is not good. They should be controlled, etc., etc. But the local economy thrives on the tourists, so they can't do much. They cannot really go and restrict these people. Same thing is in near Manali. You know, a lot of Israelis live there. In fact, there is a whole township, a small village, where you have these Israeli dhabas and restaurants and cafes, and hundreds of people live there. So again, the same problem is there. Locals are quite against it. You know, that they are polluting. In fact, they are actually cultivating wheat in Manali because that's the right climate for that. So in that sense, tourists affect local cultures, as well as tourists may get affected. Again, a lot of foreign tourists who come to India, they like the Indian culture and so on, and they start following, practicing that. You can go to those, again, within Himachal, on Manali there is something else, but if you go to McLeodganj or Dharamshala, it's something else. Right? A lot of spiritual tourism is there. So both ways. So from the point of view of migration and from the point of view of tourism, both ways ethnoscapes is involved in this kind of globalization. The second framework element is the finance escapes. So it is about flow of money. So flow of money can be from many aspects. For example, we can talk about foreign investments, FDI and FII, etc. That can be the flow of money. The flow of money can be in the sense of people sending money across. For example, Indians living abroad, वो पैसे बचा के घर भेजते हैं, या कोई इंडिया में रह रहा है वो बाहर भेज रहा है पैसे. Companies transferring their profits to their headquarters. It can be in any other sense, or even in investments by individuals. You know, as an individual, you can invest in, for example, a foreign stock exchange, if your country allows it, right? If foreign exchange restrictions are there, then accordingly you can invest in another country. So all these things are there in finance-scapes. Then we have technoscapes, that is about flow of technology. So technical know-how, also in a way globalizes. Technology from the sense latest gadgets are available all over the world simultaneously. You know, a few years back ऐसा होता था कि कोई चीज़ US में या जापान में इन्वेंट हुई और कुछ साल बाद वो डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज में अवेलेबल होती थी. बट अभी whichever, for example, iPhone latest model is launched and it's available everywhere simultaneously. So technology is getting transferred. However, there are issues like patents, which in a way is a block against free flow of technology. Right? So there are these two points of views about it. There is a site and an app, आप लोगों ने इसका नाम सुना होगा, Reddit. रेडिट का नाम सुना है या यूज किया है आपने?
Reddit is some blog type.
Yeah, it's one of the social media sites.
Discussion.
Discussion forum is there. Yeah. Now Reddit's founder, his name was Aaron Swartz. Aaron, I hope I'm writing the correct spelling. Aaron Swartz. Have you heard about him? कभी इनका नाम सुना है आपने? In what context? He was a PhD scholar at MIT, and he founded Reddit somewhere in 2007 or 6 or I don't remember. What he did was he believed in open access to everything. Right now, for example, if you search for a journal article, अगर किसी अच्छे पब्लिशर का है, you cannot. It's not an open access journal unless it is an open access. So फिर वो बोलेंगे कि you have to pay some money, $29, $39, and then only you can see. Swartz was someone who actually rebelled against it. He said that knowledge should be accessible by all. So Swartz ने क्या किया कि Reddit के साइट पर ढेर सारे he was a computer scientist, so he hacked through the database of many publishers. In fact, you know, JSTOR में आपका कोई ना कोई आपने आर्टिकल देखा होगा. JSTOR is a collective of one of the databases. JSTOR is a MIT publication. So JSTOR के कई जर्नल आते हैं सभी के एरिया में, इकोनॉमिक्स में, मैनेजमेंट में, हर एरिया में आता है. JSTOR is an MIT publication. तो JSTOR के बहुत से आर्टिकल, बहुत सी e-books, lots of material he posted on Reddit. Now these journals, they became very angry because it was a copyrighted material. So इन सभी ने वहाँ पे they went to court against it. That this is a copyright infringement. And there was a lot of pressure on Swartz because अगर वो guilty prove होता तो according to the US laws he was facing a prison time of 50 to 70 years. Right? So he could not take the pressure and he committed suicide. That's a tragic story of Aaron Swartz. There was so much pressure and he thought that he was doing something noble, but he committed suicide. Once he died, then lots of students, organizations and all these people, they started sharing these articles just like that. They said, okay, how many people you can file cases against? हर किसी ने डालना शुरू किया. So these JSTOR and many other publications, they got very scared. और उन्होंने अपने past issues को तुरंत ही share कर दिया. You can go for past issues and so on. That's another story. What I'm trying to say is that these 2 points of views are there. Patent, copyrights. According to WTO, these are very sacred things. It cannot be violated. But then again, for example, one of the researchers I know, he was working in the area of transformational leadership. Leadership में ये होता है. So transformational leadership का एक instrument है, a questionnaire, US based questionnaire, which was a copyrighted one, and it costed, he actually paid more than $140 or so to the author to allow him to use the questionnaire. He could afford, so he did it. But suppose there is a poor researcher who could not actually, and that too was only for I think 50 questionnaires, 50 or 100, whatever. So once again, you can see that these kind of problems can occur when something has a copyrighted. We're not going into the merits and demerits of it. We can argue from both the sides, but this is what happens. So there is a point of view where we say that knowledge should be open for all, open access, and then there is something called patent and copyrights where, and once again the companies, the big corporates who own the patents and copyrights, उनका एक अपना ही कुछ रहता है. For example, many of us use although we should not, but at personal level बहुत से लोग pirated softwares use करते हैं, you know. Now it is very easy for example a company like Microsoft to identify कौन use कर रहा है. The moment you are online they would know, but they deliberately don't. Why? आपके पास मैसेज आता है ना कि योर कॉपी इज नॉट रजिस्टर्ड, रजिस्टर इट. ऑफ कोर्स इफ यू हैव एन ओरिजिनल वन तब तो ठीक है, पर अगर आपका पायरेटेड वर्जन है तो बार बार वो मैसेज फ्लैश करता है कि योर कॉपी इज नॉट ओरिजिनल, योर MS ऑफिस और विंडोज जो भी है. सो व्हाई इज इट दैट वो लोग उसको इतना स्ट्रिक्ट नहीं है उसके अगेंस्ट. दे आर स्ट्रिक्ट अगेंस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस. For example, in our lab we cannot use pirated software, or in any company they cannot use a pirated software. But for individual users, अभी वो रुके हुए. One of the reasons is that it will make the hardware more expensive. If I'm going to buy a laptop and if I want all the software there, then अगर मैं 40,000 का laptop ले रहा हूँ तो another 40,000 I have to spend for. So this will make the demand for hardware a little down. So probably that is the reason. Maybe somebody can do a research and find out why it is happening, right? So these two issues are there: support free flow of technology or patent and copyright regime. Patent and copyright itself is a large issue. वो हम कभी separately अगर मौका मिला तो बात करेंगे. Just one quick thing about India's role in the whole patent issue. You see, there are two types of patents. There were two types of patents prevalent in the world. What we call process patent and product patents. Right? So when you have a process patent, it means that process has been patented. Like nobody can use the same process. And when it is a product patent, it's about product, not the process. So you can make the product, but you cannot make the same product, no matter how. And in the process, so you see in India, we were having a process patent. So it was very simple. आपने थोड़ा सा process में change कर दिया, and you can make the same product. Especially in pharmaceutical industry, आप लोगों ने पढ़ा होगा कि ये बहुत prevalent था. And that is why many of the Indian companies always faced a problem when they were exporting to US and other places. The same drug with generic things, कुछ एक छोटा सा element add कर दिया, process change कर दी. In product patent, no matter how you make it, you cannot make the same product. It is more harsh, right? Okay. So that was about Technoscapes. Ideascapes is about the flow of ideas across the world. So how do idea flow across the world? Again, internet is there and social media is there. अब तो और तेज हो रहा है. But from ancient times, people use, for example, Buddhism spread in the world as an idea. Christianity spread in the world as an idea. The missionaries and monks would travel thousands of kilometers, even if it took years, or they spread the ideas. So it had been there. With the help of technology, it is easier now. So we have always had a flow of ideas. So that is something that we all understand. And media escapes. Again, proliferation of media because of communication technology. इंटरनेट ने सबसे बड़ा इसमें कंट्रीब्यूशन किया है. नाउ वी कैन एक्सेस थिंग्स सिटिंग एनीवेयर फ्रॉम एनीवेयर. So many platforms are available where you can share your content, watch contents, and so on. So it is about flow of media, right? Appadurai also used two very interesting terms. Local and global. a combination of global and local, right? So global is about global moving to local and local moving to global. And it is because it is about culture. You see, like I said, globalization is a state of mind. So somebody migrating from, let's say, a village to a city is a process of globalization, right? And vice versa. You know, somebody belonging to a metro and suddenly you have a job in a small city or कोई गांव में आपकी posting हो गई, तो it's a reverse globalization, or what we call global, from local to global, or global to local, sorry, global coming to local. So this term has many other ramifications when we talk about, for example, in marketing. There is a concept in international marketing when we talk about international trade में, product standardization and product adaptation, right? ये अगर आपने पढ़ा होगा इंटरनेशनल मार्केटिंग या ट्रेड तो कहीं ना कहीं आया होगा. Product standardization and product adaptation. So product adaptation is an example of local. When you are adapting a product for suiting local cultures. McDonald's is a prime example. Mac Aloo Tikki is so popular for India. While their best-selling product all over the world, it's a hamburger or the beef burger. Now they don't sell pork or beef in India. Looking at local sentiments, their lab at Pune, they keep on researching about it, and every year they come with one or two new local tasting dishes. For example, I think recently they launched some burger in South Indian flavors and so on. Dosa. So they keep on doing it, adapting to local culture, local food preferences, etc. So that's an example of adaptation. And on the other end is standardization. If you look at mostly technological product, tech-based product, they're all standardized, right? So all the components within this hard drive, this CPU, can fit in anywhere, wherever you are. Actually, this has been so much outsourced. If you open it, तो शायद आपको मालूम पड़ेगा कि कोई कंपोनेंट मेड इन वियतनाम है, कोई मेड इन चाइना है, कोई मलेशिया का है, कोई श्रीलंका का है या बांग्लादेश का है. This has been assembled. So anything can fit in anywhere. Also, if you are buying, let's say, something like even an iPhone or some SLR camera, many of these products come with global warranties. तो अगर आप ट्रैवल भी कर रहे हैं, कोई खराबी आती है, आप लोकल जहाँ भी है वहाँ पे उसकी ग्लोबल वारंटी विल बी देयर. It's only because it's a global product. It is standardized. So this standardization versus adaptation, actually this debate started way back in 1983. There is this famous professor, I think, I hope he's still alive, Professor Theodore Levitt from Harvard Business School. ये नाम जो भी मार्केटिंग पढ़ते हैं उनको पता होता है. Marketing Myopia, the greatest article, probably the article that began the concept of modern marketing. So Levitt ने एक article लिखा Harvard Business Review में in 1983. I'm forgetting the name of the article, but his contention was in 1983 when there was no internet, etc. Right? तो उसमें उनका contention ये था कि he visualized that in the coming few years, because of technology and television and satellite channels, there will be homogenization of culture. There will be cultural homogenization because people are watching the same television shows, same movies, music is everywhere. People in India, people in China or Pakistan, they're all listening and watching. So there will be a homogenization of culture, some kind of cultural traits. And therefore, companies will be able to offer standardized products all over the world. So standardization के अपने benefits हैं. ये हमको मालूम है. Can you think of one or two benefits of standardization? क्या benefit हो सकता है standardization?
We get international warranty is one of the benefits.
Okay, right, great. Any other benefit?
Reduces the cost.
Right.
Reduces the cost.
Cost reduction is the biggest benefit.
Biggest benefit.
So कोई भी फैक्ट्री है जहाँ पे मास प्रोडक्शन हो रहा है वो तो चाहेंगे कि एक ही चीज़ बनती रहे. जहाँ आपने उसमें वैरायटी लाने की कोशिश की तो यू विल हैव टू हैव सेपरेट प्रोडक्शन प्रोसेसेस. आप दैट्स द डिफरेंस बिटवीन अ टेलर मेड थिंग एंड अ फैक्ट्री मेड थिंग. You go to a retail store and suppose your waist size is in between, right? So if you have a 33, so either you increase your waist or you reduce to fit, right? It's very rarely, because the moment the company thinks of launching a 33 size, they'll have to have an additional production line. Everything, cutting का जो भी process है, stitching का जो भी, हर कुछ अलग से होना पड़ेगा, right? So that will be an additional cost. Some companies try to maintain a balance between standardization and adaptation. Again, McDonald's is a good example. आप वहाँ पे you go to any McDonald's store anywhere in India or for that matter in the world, similar interiors, similar designs, similar kind of furniture, similar production process. Open kitchen, automated kitchen, separated for vegetarians and non-vegetarians. So, and that is why they are able to deliver you a burger in 2 minutes or less than 2 minutes, right? क्योंकि वो standardized है. Even their stewardesses and stewards, their chefs या जो भी वहाँ पे employees हैं, they are all trained equally. In fact, somebody was joking the other day that they are even trained how much to smile. You know, how broad should be your smile. इसकी भी training होती है that when you see someone you have to smile and so on. So even that is standardized. So at the level of service they are standardized. At the level of menu they are customized. Right? Not entirely customized, but ठीक है, थोड़े आपके पास adapted versions हैं. So some companies are able to, but experience has shown us that tech companies are able to standardize better, and non-tech and service companies are able to adapt better because the products are different. Anyway, so that was the idea of local, that is adaptation, and global when local is going on. There is an interesting saying. In fact, in one of the seminars that I attended long time back, where Professor Appadurai was speaking, so one of the participants made a very interesting comment. He said, local is colorful. And global is grey. How do you spell grey? E or A?
E.
Right. So local is colorful while global is grey. How do we make sense of this statement? How do we make sense of this statement? What does it mean? Local is colorful while global is grey.
Can we
Please.
relate this with customized and standardized?
Sorry, please repeat.
Can we relate this with the customized and standardized product of
please.
McDonald's?
Relate.
Globally, we are opting a same product of burger to every country all over the world, and locally, as per customized, as per your taste and preferences.
All right. So, but if you look at, I mean, this is like a, please sit. You don't have to stand. This is more like figuratively speaking. वो metaphor use कर रहे हैं color और grey का. So, metaphorically grey हम किस sense में use करते हैं?
Combination of black and white.
Monotonous, boring, and colorful as you know things are happening. So probably that is what it means. That global is grey, like it's boring. If everyone is standardized, then what is the fun? If everyone is wearing the same kind of clothes, you know, uniforms. Barring the forces, कुछ ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस ने भी अपने यूनिफॉर्म किया हुआ है, बट अदर देन दैट यूनिफॉर्म इज अ बोरिंग थिंग. जहाँ पे ज़रूरी है वहाँ तो ठीक है, अदर देन दैट आई पर्सनली फील इट्स क्वाइट बोरिंग. This is the kind of apex of control. Everybody should look alike. Everybody should be alike, should think alike. That will bring monotony, and that will make things grey or boring. On the other hand, local level, again, a country like India can be a great example, where there are so many cultures and subcultures. Every few miles you'll have different kinds of cultural traits. For example, even language changes. Accent हम लोग शायद कानपुर शहर में इस्तेमाल करते हैं, थोड़ा सा दूर जाने पर वो चेंज हो जाएगा. आप इलाहाबाद पहुंच जाए और चेंज हो जाएगा, बनारस पहुंच जाए और चेंज हो जाएगा, so on. You keep on moving. What we call a language continuum is there. So if you start from the east, and if you are traveling by road, you can keep talking to people, recording their voices. You will know कि कहाँ पे कैसे कैसे वो accent and pronunciation and everything changes. That is just one thing. Similarly, if you observe food, again how the food changes the moment you travel from one place to another. So you can see that there are so many varieties. Now suppose you say that okay, everyone will start eating the same thing, or everyone will start wearing the same clothes. So obviously it is great or boring. So that also is globalization. You see, if you are asking everyone to standardize, that is globalizing or localizing when you are adapting it. Okay, so in that sense somebody talked about this. Now there are some issues in globalization, especially of culture. So we've covered homogenization and standardization and global adaptation. One very interesting example is some of the issues in culture and entertainment. There is a very interesting example of Latin dances. You know what Latin dance is? Salsa and bachata and all those, right? Now Latin dances are popular all over the world. In fact, in many cities in India, they have these socials. I don't know if you've heard about it. These are called dance socials. So they meet on weekends and they have a dance show and so on, and then they go. And if you've been watching television, kabhi aapne dekha ho freak shows like there is a show called America's Got Talent, right? There is an Indian group called Bad Salsa. You can watch their YouTube videos. They're very good. So what they are doing is actually they are mixing salsa with Indian steps, a traditional salsa with lots of Indian steps, right? So quite popular. Actually, they reached the finale. I don't know whether they won or not, but that's what they did. So in fact, salsa has been quoted as a good example of how something from local is spreading everywhere in the world, and people are mixing it. For example, in India, there is an Indian version of salsa and so on. Okay. Then there are issues related to lifestyle changes and consumption, which actually is can be seen in negative and positive both ways. There are lifestyle changes when you are exposed to global things, global culture, languages, movies, music, education, travel. तो lifestyle में थोड़े changes आते हैं ना when you're looking at how people in other places are living. Now it can be positive as well as negative. For example, when you listen to somebody's story, like there's this person who's started living in a forest without any electricity or air conditioning and all those things, an Austrian person. So it's a very inspiring and motivational story. So maybe somebody may want to do it. On the other hand, if you look at a great penthouse and you want to remodel your house according to that. तो वो एक दूसरा aspect है. Then now this is a debate that I often have in my class of marketing for MBAs. Can need be created? Can need be created? Or needs are already there, you are just reminded.
क्रिएट की जाती है सर हमारे
Possible.
Is it possible? Okay, so tell me in the past few months, ऐसी कौन सी चीज़ है जो आपने खरीदी है जिसकी आपको ज़रूरत नहीं थी?
Very sensitive.
Sorry?
Oxygen meter.
Find one or two things जो कि आपने खरीदा है जिसकी आपको बिल्कुल ज़रूरत नहीं. ऐसी कोई चीज़ ढूंढ सकते हैं आप? फिर आप कैसे कह रहे हैं नीड कैन बी क्रिएटेड? Need can be triggered, yes. It can be triggered with, for example, it can be reminded. आप morning में हमारे पास, I'm sitting for breakfast and suddenly I realize कि there's no butter. When I'm in the market, I see an ad of butter and I'm reminded that I have to buy it. And I bought it. That's okay. Or for that matter, you're in a mall, आपको भूख लगी है लेकिन you are postponing it, and suddenly you smell great coffee or some bakeries there, तो आपको लगा कि let me have something. It may be reminded, it may be triggered, but to say that need can be created, I'm not saying it cannot be created. I'm just saying that we have to look at both the sides. And that is why I asked you this question. कि आपने ऐसी कौन सी चीज़ खरीदी जिसकी आपको ज़रूरत नहीं थी?
Oxygen meter.
Sorry?
Oxygen meter, sir.
Oximeters?
Yeah, oximeter.
Okay. So ज़रूरत तो थी सभी को?
Sir,
But
इसका एक
create
अच्छा-
हो गई ना as of COVID period.
नहीं, but for
Sir.
precautions. हाँ.
One of the massager from the roadside vendor. I hardly use it.
पर आपने जब खरीदा तो कुछ सोचा होगा ना?
उस समय वो थी नहीं
Sir,
भाई.
at lot of times, because of your senses, you end up buying things which you actually don't need.
So that's what I asked.
Especially-
You give me example जब आपने ऐसा कुछ किया.
Sir, I tell you, like sometimes you go and you really don't need to buy a cloth, or you really don't need to buy an accessory which is not needed at all. But just because you saw it and you end up buying it.
ऐसा होता है क्या?
Yes.
If it is like this, if I go to a mall and I like a product, I want to add on to my wardrobe because I think I might look good in this T-shirt.
No, no, sir, it is
That's possible.
not even needed at all.
So see, that is the need, right?
व्हाट्सएप ये क्रिएट की हुई
It is not needed.
Sorry?
उसकी जरूरत बिना भी हो. जैसे सपोज दैट सर आपने कहा तो चीज मैंने अमेजोन पे देखा 10 किलो का पैकेट था साबुन का था, हमको लगा कि हाँ ठीक है, जबकि उस साबुन का पैकेट
नहीं, पर
2 महीने बाद खुला.
राइट.
तो
अब
वो
आप
उस समय तो need नहीं
ये
थी.
अब आप ये क्वेश्चन पूछिए अपने आप से कि क्यों लगा आपको कि ले लेना चाहिए?
हमें लगा कि ये सस्ता है और बाद में
So that was the need.
नीड उस समय तो नीड नहीं थी ना सर. अब दूसरा उदाहरण सर
ठीक है, ठीक है.
एक और हो सकता है सर, टेक्निकल चीजें जैसे हम लोग कंप्यूटर या इन चीजों में उतने सॉफ्टवेयर की कुछ जरूरत होती नहीं, हम जानते भी नहीं हैं, लेकिन एक स्टेटस सिंबल को 20,000 का मोबाइल ले लिए जबकि उसका व्हाट्सएप और
So status is the need, right?
So there are times when you buy things and then you realize you buy them for no need. And
Actually, ma'am, what you are doing is you are generalizing it, right? I'm asking कि आप अपने एक्सपीरियंस से बताइए कि हमने लास्ट ऐसा
I'm
कब
telling you
किया?
accessory. I'm telling you an accessory.
Okay.
Which is not needed.
Okay.
And I know that I will not need it. I know
Okay.
that I will not wear it. I would just buy it and it is kept for years together because it was anyway not needed.
All right. So I'll tell you the need. There is something called compulsive buying, right? So this falls under that, and compulsive buying is a need because at that time it satisfies your ego or
Anything.
anything. So it is compulsive buying that is the need, right? You feel the thrill of buying something.
It could be a psychological state of buying.
Right. So
Rajesh sir,
even if psychology, that is the need. You're satisfying yourself at the psychological level.
Sir, one thing I would like to
Please.
ask that what is about in this perspective, how we explain the sale of fine arts?
Sale of.
Fine arts, like sale of a portrait.
Okay. So some people are very artistically inclined, right? So people can pay any money for good art, right?
Do we need this good art? We are not very
What is
excited.
good art?
Because it satisfies your.
Psychological.
Satisfaction mark पूरा वहाँ पे.
No, there is a word for it. Let me think for a second if I can find it. Or I'll find it later on if I remember. There is a word for it. 11th 12th में अगर आपने हिंदी पढ़ी हो यूपी बोर्ड में, तो उसमें एक चैप्टर था निबंध वाला, एक पेपर होता था गद्य वाला. तो उसमें एक चैप्टर होता था, उसका नाम था गेहूं बनाम गुलाब, रामवृक्ष बेनीपुरी का. सो ये गुलाब की नीड भी आपकी माइंड की है, राइट? गेहूं की नीड के लिए बहुत कुछ हम करते हैं, दैट इज फॉर द नीड ऑफ गुलाब. सो आई कुड नॉट फाइंड दैट वर्ड, बट maybe this is what explains. We all do it. The thing is, again, it will take to another discussion. You see, some people are left brain oriented, some people are right brain oriented, right? Left brain is more about analytical and all these things, and right brain is more about artistic, visuals, sound, etc. So if you enjoy music, poetry, songs, paintings, then you are a right brain dominated person. Otherwise you are a left brain dominated. Usually हम सभी लोगों में एक balance होता है. We enjoy both. But there are some people who have a more inclined towards one or the other. Right? So it satisfies her. But at times, for example, again the question of why somebody is buying art at such an expensive, it may be an ego. Because you must have seen those auctions. Sotheby's का आप auction देखिए online कभी तो, well, people are willing to spend any amount of money for something that they want.
That may be because of prestige.
Prestige, right? So that is also a need. कभी आप लोगों ने वो Maslow's hierarchy पढ़ी होगी ना? So उसमें somewhere you have that need, esteem need, self-esteem need can be satisfied because of that.
Self-realization.
Right. So maybe a shirt doesn't satisfy my clothing need or जो आपका basic physiological need है, but maybe it satisfies our esteem need. So I'm not denying. Again, I'm saying that find more examples to see whether need can be created. Let's stop it there and move forward. Okay. So we were talking about lifestyle changes and increase in consumption. It is in this context I asked the question कि need create हो सकती है या नहीं. Like I said, I don't know whether need can be created. Actually, marketers don't believe need can be created. We believe that needs are already there. It just needs a trigger or reminding, etc., etc. But at times, it may lead to unpleasant situations. For example, I may not need an iPhone, but I may start desiring it. Because I see all of my colleagues are having an iPhone, I don't have it. So I should work towards it. Maybe I can buy it on EMI, etc., etc. For a student, they want an expensive phone or whichever gadget because their friend has it. It might lead to some kind of a mental unrest, kind of a competition. It might lead to, for example, even crimes. That's what we read in newspapers. Somebody became a chain snatcher because they wanted gadgets, right? Educated students, BTech students, MBA students, they are into all that. So it may lead to these unpleasant things, right? desires which are immediately, which cannot be fulfilled immediately. There may be a discussion about that also, but that's another thing. I'm not going to that. Okay. Then globalization, especially after 1991, has seen an intensification. Like the rate of globalization is picking up. Initially it was slow. Again with technology, वो जो globalization का pace है वो काफी तेज हो गया, right? Intensify हो गया. So the intensification effects of globalizations again can be positive as well as negative. Right? So in a positive sense, for example, there can be increased awareness and action by people all over the world. For example, these days everyone is talking about global warming and environmental. There was a summit in Glasgow recently. So there is a global awareness, right from somebody like Greta Thunberg. She is a teenage activist, to NGOs working in that area, to governments. People are taking it very, very seriously. Now there was a US Vice President, Al Gore. उनका नाम आपने सुना हो शायद. क्लिंटन जब प्रेसिडेंट थे तो he was his vice president. He actually made a documentary about global warming, which won an Oscar also at that time, during 90s. That time it was not available everywhere. Now you can watch it on YouTube. So from that kind of a person to local level NGOs, tribal people, tribal activists, and global activists like Greta Thunberg, or even one of the Indian writers, Mr. Amitav Ghosh. आपने उनका नाम सुना होगा. Novelist basically, but these days he is writing about environmental issues. अभी उनकी recently एक किताब publish हुई है environment के ऊपर. So there is a increased awareness and an urge to take some action. कई बार लोग कहते हैं ना, you are a Twitter warrior. Twitter पे आपने उसको retweet कर दिया या Facebook पे like कर दिया ना. But even that works. Everybody cannot directly participate, but at least you can show your support to the cause. Some people can support the cause by donating money or donating time or whatever. So it leads to increased awareness and action. Another popular name is of a Canadian activist, Naomi Klein. ये भी एक interesting नाम है, आपको जानना चाहिए. She has written many books, but her first book was called No Logo. No Logo is a book that is about anti-branding and anti-corporate kind of a thing, because she believes that branding itself. For example, she studied the big brands and where these are produced. So Nike shoes are produced in Bangladesh, and the people who actually produce it, किस तरह के environment में वो रह रहे हैं. You must have read ना, अभी कुछ साल पहले वहाँ पे आग लग गई थी बांग्लादेश में एक गारमेंट जो कि बहुत बड़े बड़े ब्रांड्स के लिए बना रहे थे, गैप एंड डीजल एंड ऑल. वहाँ पे मेरे ख्याल से 100 से ज़्यादा लोग they died there. So she actually studied this problem. The shoe that you are wearing for which costed you 10,000 or 20,000 rupees, the people who make it live in very abysmal conditions. Then there are these solidarity movements. Apart from environmental, there are political solidarities. For example, when there was a revolution in Egypt, actually it is called a Facebook revolution. वहाँ पे स्क्वायर पे किसी ने फेसबुक में पोस्ट डाले कि मैं वहाँ जा रहा हूँ, you should come. And within a few hours, everybody got the message, and eventually it led to the change in the regime. So that is the kind of thing that is possible. Crowdsourcing, like crowdfunding या और भी जो resources हैं, we can crowdsource things. ये भी अभी it's a buzzword these days. And once again, ease of transportation. We are able to travel now. within the country, outside the country, so that again is a positive aspect. On the negative side, it has been seen that there is a loss of culture, language and culture. Many of the languages are on the verge of extinction. Some of the languages have been distorted. For example, the social media and their इतना abbreviation हम लोग use करते हैं. Sometimes, for example, many of us have stopped using vowels जब हम text करते हैं, right? Because that is easier. So whether it's good or bad, that's another thing. But in fact, people say that these changes are natural. जो purists होते हैं, हम लोगों को लगता है कि शायद ये गलत चीज़ हो रही है, but जो हम आज लैंग्वेज यूज़ कर रहे हैं शायद 20 साल, 25 साल, 30 साल पहले नहीं करते थे, तो there's been a change. So let us welcome the change. Then another biggest negative thing about this, for example, comes from transportation. How did any of the epidemics or pandemics reach the world? I think pandemic is the most global thing, right? So it started from one traveler. इसके पहले जब SARS या कुछ हुआ था, वो भी ऐसे ही somebody traveled, somebody flew, और उसके बाद वो सारा चीज शुरू हुआ. So this is one of the things that is very, very negative. Apart from it, there are concepts like what we call neoliberalism, nationalism, and so on. But these are political issues, so we'll not get into these things, right? Some other good things have happened, that now individuals have access to, for example, small entrepreneurs, MSMEs, इन सभी को अब global market का access है, जो कि पहले बड़ा मुश्किल होता था. Now people have access. So lots of positive things are happening. So this was about globalization at political and cultural level. Maybe in the next class we'll talk about globalization at economic level. Okay. But like I said, all these three are intertwined. When we talk about political or global, we have to talk about economic, because they are not aloof. Fine. So anything from your end?